you feel frustrated because I feel frustrated. Work being a requirement to exist while you have other goals in mind? Yeah, that's pretty annoying. We all have to suffer through jobs that we may not like to get to where we want to be. And it's okay to feel that way. It's okay to be angry or frustrated that this thing that's already taking up 8 hours of your day is now siphoning your passion away from you. Working jobs like this can create burnout. My workload at work is insane, so much so that I had to start taking some of it home. I don't want to stop filming these videos. These are my passions right now. But I've noticed that I've stopped going to work out and started sleeping in later and stopped talking to my friends. Everything felt like it took too much of my valuable time. And I wasn't willing to sacrifice my passion for everything else. And I have to do my job to keep my job. I'm sure y'all can relate. These are gumdrop grapes. They're supposed to be really sweet. Let's try one real quick. Oh my god, that's so sweet. I'll give one to my partner. This is not a job for me, so everybody don't come for me. Oh, today I was weak. We spent $150 on a week's worth of groceries. It's more than a week's worth. To be honest, you can't really buy a week's worth for 2 people. But it hurt. All because I wanted some meat. I'm not usually in a meat mood, but today I wanted beef and pork. I bought the cheapest ones I could buy that are like whole cuts. Got pork loin, which I need to cut this as soon as they out. Oh, it'll go in the fridge. It'll go in the fridge. Let me show you the other one real quick. Then we got our beef shoulder. Beef is really expensive right now. I don't know what's going on with beef stuff. But this was $12 for less than 2 pounds. It's like a pound and a half for $12. Insane. But time isn't holding its value if it's spent all on one thing. For me, that's work, but for you, it might be childcare, caring for a family member, or work as well. See, organic carrots go bad so quick. I know eating organic is supposed to be good for you or whatever, but I'm more about having food that doesn't go bad before I eat it. Before I turn on the big lights or start preparing anything, I wanted to give you a good look at what my kitchen looks like before we start, because honestly, this is just the reality of how my household is. It's never super clean, and just because y'all see a pretty clean workspace while I'm filming, I always want y'all to know that it's never that clean. Really, it truly is not. Partially to why our grocery bill was so expensive is that we got some wine. I got one that I like, and my partner got one that he liked, and we just, since I began working at my big boy job, we didn't have a lot of flexibility in buying a nice drink for ourselves. We don't really go out to drink, that's not our thing. We don't really drink often either. So we decided, hey, because he's working, I'm working, we have a little bit of wiggle room this month. Let's get us some nice drinks, nice wine. We'll play a video game together, have a little date night with some wine. Yeah, so it's the little things. It's the little things. We're not machines. If we dedicate all of our time to one task, we lose its balance. And we should have hobbies that should keep up with our health. We should allow ourselves to experience life. In my job, it feels like failing means failing hundreds of children in their education. So I understand the pressure of failure as well. But the greater failure is when we fail to experience our life. Our hobbies help us develop problem-solving skills, take brain breaks, and make us more efficient at our work. The way I feel better about that, about the failure of my work, is by continuing my hobbies. For me, that would be making YouTube videos and cooking. My passion has always been in film production, that's what my degree is in. I used to do a lot of short films, but that doesn't make any money. So I started working as a teacher, which is great. It's honestly one of the best jobs I've ever had, but I crave the process of creation. And that's why I started doing YouTube more seriously, to fill that void. I feel sometimes that we are striving to do something that we're not able to do right away, whether that's starting a business, working up the way of the corporate ladder, or even just, creating content. It's hard to make time for your hobbies, but honestly, it can make your week so much more fulfilling by doing so. Like today, I'm meal prepping. My grocery list wasn't super minor though, I mentioned it earlier, but I spent $150 for this week's groceries. That did include some alcohol, which I'm allowing myself to enjoy because, you need to splurge on yourself every once in a while, and it helps take the mundaneness out of everyday life. It gives me something to look forward to whenever I want to have a drink with a nice dinner. Anywho, getting into the meal prepping section of this video, I really wanted to try fermenting and pickling pickles, and my neighbor gave me a bunch of cucumbers, so I was like, why not try it? I was going to leave the recipe in the description, but something went wrong. These pickles and the ferment were so salty that they're practically inedible on their own, which is kind of bad because I wanted them for a snack. But I decided that I would, in the future, just add them to like soups and dishes as like salty little tanginess. Because they're not like bad for cooking, so that's just what I'm gonna do, and that way nothing goes to waste. I also started making a bacon sandwich because I was hungry. Not related to the meal prep, but you know what? Sometimes when you're surrounded by a bunch of food, you're meal prepping for an entire day, and also went grocery shopping, you deserve a good old bacon sandwich. Made my partner a bacon sandwich with turkey, cheddar cheese, onion, tomato. I toasted it all up until it was nice and golden. And then I made myself a wrap with the gluten-free tortillas I just bought. The exact same ingredients. And it was delicious. Do not regret. Ooh, hot. Fuck yeah. Looks good. Anywho, I've been so afraid of getting fresh vegetables lately just because they've been so expensive, which is silly because I really miss eating salads. So this week I decided to batch a big salad for the week. This one was a bean salad. I made it with some cilantro, onion, and tomato. Of course, cooked beans drained of their liquid. I made dried beans, but you can use canned, that's fine. I put some oil, this was chili oil that I used on my chicken tenders a while back, into the salad, and then added a squeeze of lime. This is what I had on hand, but if you don't have lime, use some vinegar or some kind of sour liquid. And I tossed everything together with some corn, and it turned out so good. It was really refreshing. I even added some mushrooms to my own, and it lasted the whole week. Delicious. Would recommend for anybody who wants to start making weekly salads. I purposely do bean salads because there's no leafy greens to go bad, and I do use zucchini often in mine, and maybe the tops of celery if I'm feeling like I want something leafy in it. Bean. Trying to get a little bit of everything away. Oh yeah, that's good. I quickly cleaned my kitchen before I started the next part of the meal planning. Anywho, that's not the only thing. The last thing I meal prepped really is the meat. So the meat was what made my trip more expensive as well, because I was really craving stews for the fall. 'Tis the season. So I'm going to be making meal prep for beef tips, pork roast, and beef stew. I usually buy the cheapest cut of roast, that way I can cut it to the amount I need and freeze it and just pull it out whenever I need to make recipes with it. But I don't pre-season the meat. I just cut vegetables, put it in a separate bag from the meat, put that in the freezer, and then cut the meat to whatever size I need for 2 servings of meal. And I put it in the freezer. That way, if I change my mind, I could make a different dish. This makes my recipes more versatile and saves me money in the long run, because then I'm less likely to go eat out because I have a variety of cuts of meat in my fridge. I still have the prep for the stews. And if I decide, you know what, I'm going to make tacos with these ingredients instead, I could still use these ingredients. I'm not tied down to making that specific meal, which really helps. To reiterate for what I was talking about earlier, Yes, it's frustrating that our work causes us to push our passions just out of reach, but they don't have to be entirely gone from our lives. We can pry some time away from work to do things we love. I know a lot of us are struggling right now, and that's okay. Someday we won't be. But for now, let's keep moving forward. Work in one hand, hobbies in the other, and continuing to hope for the best. Because the best will come.